Ladies and gentlemen, we have a deal. John Kerry has negotiated a deal on behalf of the United States with Iranians to freeze their nuclear program. They will not be able to work on it for 10 years. Of course, conservatives in this country are furious. I guess they would prefer the alternative of they could work on it immediately. It's not much logic there. Okay, no, we would have done better. We would have gotten them to get on a bended knee and give us everything we wanted, and we wouldn't have lifted the sanctions, and we'd have spit in their face. Okay, yeah, but that's not how the world works. I know, you guys would have gotten everything. Now, let's talk about what the deal actually has inside of it so you can see for yourself whether it's a good deal or not. We'll have an interesting and valid criticism a little bit later to give you a sense of balance on this deal. Okay, first of all, we're going to start with the president. He's obviously going to defend it. Let's watch.
The United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not. A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Today, because America negotiated from a position of strength and principle, we have stopped the spread of nuclear weapons in this region. Because of this deal, the international community will be able to verify that the Islamic Republic of Iran will not develop a nuclear weapon. This deal meets every single one of the bottom lines that we established when we achieved a framework earlier this spring. Every pathway to a nuclear weapon is cut off, and the inspection and transparency regime necessary to verify that objective will be put in place.
So every pathway to a nuclear weapon is cut off, and the United Nations will confirm that they cannot work on a nuclear weapons program. So, of course, our right wing and, of course, Israel's right wing and some Sunni Arab states like Saudi Arabia, livid. Why didn't you destroy Iran on our behalf? So they wanted war. You got to understand, there is no other alternative. There was either this deal or some combination of us, Israel, Saudi Arabia was going to go to war with Iran. You want another war in the Middle East? This deal, if you ask me, and I'll address the criticism as well, legitimate criticism, is fantastic. Okay, so now I'm not the only one who thinks that. Remember, this is not just Iran or Obama or John Kerry negotiating with Iran. There was many countries involved. So obviously Iran and the United States, but also China, France, Russia, Britain, Germany. They all agreed to this deal. So it's not like we went in there and were like, oh, yeah, sure, here, take Iran, whatever you want. No, the Germans, the Russians, the Chinese, the French, they all said, yes, yes, this is the deal. We all agreed to the deal because it's a good deal. Okay, keep that in mind. So now let's go to the Associated Press for more explanation on what's in it. The nearly 100-page accord announced Tuesday aims to keep Iran from producing enough material for an atomic weapon for at least 10 years and impose new provisions for inspections of Iranian facilities, including military sites. Now, let me ask you something. Would we offer the reverse to Iran or any other country? Would we say, hey, you know what, we're going to end our nuclear program? No. We tell Iran, we get to have a nuclear weapons program. You know your enemy Israel has a nuclear weapons program. Can you inspect that? No. Will we end it? No. We will have that advantage over you for the rest of time. And we'll get you to bend to our will because we put sanctions and froze your assets. Right, wrong, it doesn't matter. We have the power to do it. We did it, and it led to this deal. So I'm glad it led to this deal. I don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. But can they inspect our military sites? Of course not. But we get the United Nations to inspect their military sites. Oh, but Cenk, of course, because they're dangerous. Really? How many wars has Iran started in the Middle East? Oh, right, we're the ones that start the wars in the Middle East. It's not to say Iran is not dangerous. In my opinion, based on hard evidence, they do sponsor terrorism, okay? So they definitely support Hezbollah. They've supported Hamas. And they support the butcher in Syria, Bashar Assad. So, and they're mullahs. They believe in religious rule. I don't agree with any of that. I'm thrilled that they're not going to get a nuclear weapon. You should all be thrilled that they're not going to get a nuclear weapon. That's what this deal does, right? Now, that doesn't mean that, we are morally justified. We are, by saying you guys are the dangerous ones. We're the ones who invaded Iraq. We're the ones who are currently bombing inside Iraq and Syria. We're the ones who bombed inside Libya. We're the ones who started the Afghanistan war. So you'll excuse the Iranians or other countries in the world if they don't say, oh, I see, you're benevolent and wonderful and angelic, and the Iranians can't be trusted with anything that you guys already have. But nonetheless, we won. We won the deal. I'm amazed that the right-wingers can be so insane that we use all those advantages that we have, right or wrong. We win, we stop their program, still not good enough. Okay, so now let's give you more details. It stands to receive, Iran does, more than $100 billion in assets frozen overseas and an end to a European oil embargo and various financial restrictions on Iranian banks. So this is where some right-wingers in the United States and Netanyahu come in and say, oh, you just gave them hundreds of billions of dollars. No. That was their assets. We froze them, as in we kidnapped their money. It was their money. It wasn't our money. It's not like we're giving them any of our money or French money or Japanese money. It was their money. We kidnapped it and held it hostage in order to get this deal. You could argue that's not really that fair. I don't care. We did it, and I'm happy with the result, okay? But you can't say we gave them the money. We took their money in the first place. And we said, we're going to do an embargo on you so you can't sell your oil. You have your oil. Sad day, I'm not going to let you sell it. You have your money. It doesn't matter. I stole it. I took it, and I'm holding it hostage until you do this deal with me. Hey, no nukes for Iran by any means necessary. I'm in. But then don't complain that we were soft on Iran. We fucking stole their money and said they can't sell the stuff that they have in their own country. That's not being soft on Iran. And then we mercifully will give some of it back when they agree to end their nuclear program, as they have done now. No, for right-wingers, it's never good enough. They didn't get to drink anybody's blood today, okay? Continuing from the AP's report here. Iran agreed to the continuation of a UN arms embargo on the country for up to 5 more years, though it could end earlier if the International Atomic Energy Agency definitively clears Iran of any current work on nuclear weapons. A similar condition was put on UN restrictions on the transfer of ballistic missile technology to Tehran, which could last for up to 8 more years, according to diplomats. So, again, stuff they make in Iran. Now, their weapons, I don't want them selling it anywhere. I'm thrilled that we got this deal. They can't sell it for 5 years or 8 years unless the International Atomic Energy Agency, connected with the United Nations, says the world agrees you have ended your nuclear weapons program. Now, wouldn't that be a good thing? Isn't that what we wanted? So if they have ended it definitively, then that gets lifted and they can sell weapons earlier. You know who's the #1 seller of weapons in the country? If you're in the world, if you're worried about weapons selling, we are. The United States of America is the #1 weapon seller, and we sell it to a lot of people. Good guys, bad guys, whatever you need, man. We got to make money. Our version of mullah, right? We got to make the mullah. So when the Iranians do, how dare you, how dare you? But we stopped them. We stopped them. Great. Congratulations to us, okay? You should be ecstatic about this deal. Okay, another significant agreement will allow UN inspectors to press for visits to Iranian military sites as part of their monitoring duties, something the country's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had long vowed to oppose. However, access isn't guaranteed and could be delayed, a condition that critics of the deal are sure to seize on. So I'm going to get into the details on that in a second, but right now the UN does have the ability to go in and say, we'd like to inspect that nuclear weapons facility and that facility. Okay, then you're going to have Iran say, wait, why do you need to do that? Let's go over that. Then I'm going to tell you how that gets decided. So hold, let's tell you. Under the accord, Tehran would have the right to challenge UN requests, and an arbitration board composed of Iran and the 6 world powers would then decide the issue. So then you go to the Germans, the French, the Russians, etc., and you say, should we be allowed to inspect that facility that might be working on a nuclear weapons program? They're on our side largely, so they go, yeah, of course. We've stacked the deck. The Russians and the Chinese, they don't want Iran to get a weapon either. But it's not like they love our policies. So you can consider that a balance on the board. But overall, none of the people involved want Iran to get a weapon. So they're the ones who get to decide. Guess what? They're going to vote yes. Let's make sure they're not getting a weapon. Furthermore, Iranian cooperation is needed for all economic sanctions to be lifted. Meaning, yes, the in return for them ending their weapons program, us being able to inspect their sites and be all up in their business, we're going to lift economic sanctions that we put in the first place. But we won't unless Iran cooperates. And if they stop cooperating, we're done, okay? So, all right. Nonetheless, despite all these things that are clear wins for us, right-wingers are not happy. One of the things they point to is, no, but some people in Iran are happy. Yes, they're happy because otherwise the answer was war and we were going to bomb the living crap out of them. So, yeah, they're generally happy that they didn't die today. Should we be unhappy? Oh, we didn't get to kill any Iranians today. We stopped their weapons program for at least 10 years. Well, that was our goal. We did it by kidnapping their money and not allowing them to sell anything they make inside the country. We got what we wanted, but we didn't get to kill anybody today. And that's what the real problem of right-wingers are. Now, Richard Engel is a good correspondent for NBC. He's done good work in the Middle East. And he brings up another point. Let's discuss that and see if it has legitimacy. He says there is a possibility that this agreement could be just adding more fuel to the sectarian fire, that it would embolden groups like ISIS, which will now see Iran and the U.S. in collusion, that it will cause Saudi Arabia to become more nervous that it's being surrounded by Iranian expansionism. So an arms race is possible, and a worsening of the active regional conflicts in the region is also possible. Now, Engel is not incorrect about that reporting. Is Saudi Arabia happy about this deal? No, okay? Is ISIS going to be mad at Iran? How much more mad could they be? I don't know if you know this. I know for a lot of the right-wingers in this country, they're like, oh, Muslim, me no understand. ISIS is Sunni. They hate Iran. They fight against Iran, an Iran-backed government in Syria. They hate them. They hate them more than they hate Christians, more than they hate America. The first people they go after is Shiites. That's the Iranians, okay? The Iranians are Shiites. They do bombings all across the Gulf of Shiite mosques. Iran hates ISIS. They hate each other. How much more can they hate each other? So my main beef with Richard Engel's reporting is, wait a minute. So let me get this right. ISIS is going to continue to hate Iran, and Iran's going to continue to hate ISIS. Yeah, that's the current situation we're in. Number two, well, they're not going to be happy about this deal, so there could be more of a regional arms race. Wait a minute. If we didn't have the deal, Iran would be in the middle of making weapons right now. We stopped their nuclear weapons program, which, by the way, they didn't have. We stopped their nuclear energy program. Now, you can say, I don't believe the Iranians. They would have used the nuclear energy for nuclear weapons. And I'm probably with you on that, okay? So I understand that. But technically, and by all standards, including our CIA and Mossad, they did not have a nuclear weapons program. But it doesn't matter. We stopped it before they could get one. Great. Again, win for us. But how is there any logic in saying, well, if we had allowed Iran to not, we don't do this deal, and Iran gets to continue their nuclear program and perhaps turn it into a nuclear weapons program, how would that have been better? No, that would have precipitated a larger arms race in the Middle East. So in the end analysis, none of these critiques make any sense. You should be ecstatic today that we have avoided a needless war. And for 10 years, Iran is not going to get to work on their weapons program at all. Now, some conservatives finally will turn around and say, but wait a minute now, after 10 years, you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in 20 years or 100 years. What is the alternative? The alternative is, oh, we know what could have happened. We could have blown them to smithereens and destroyed every part of their nuclear weapons program. And that's great. Which would have then said to them, hey, you know what? You can never make a deal with the Americans. The Americans will always stab you in the back. So whatever you do, build nuclear weapons immediately. And then what would have happened in 10 years? After our long, bloody war in the Middle East, Iran is far larger than Iraq. That war would have been 10 times the mess Iraq was, and Iraq was a historic mess. And would you have had a guaranteed result at the end of 10 years? What would you have done? Broken the Iranians? That's what you wanted, right? And then what? And then what? More war and more war. That was the alternative here. Look, I often criticize President Obama, but you have got to give him credit here. This was a very, very important deal. He struck it, and he struck it in a way that is clearly advantageous to the United States of America. So today was a very good day. This has been a long time coming. We were scared to death that the lunatic right-wingers in this country and across the world were going to drive us into another disastrous war in the Middle East, whether it was during the Bush administration or even during the Obama administration. President Obama avoided that and got us a great deal, ended the nuclear program, energy program or otherwise of Iran, and got us peace. God bless. Great deal. Anyone who tells you otherwise is enormously biased and totally full of crap. And in reality, all they want is war and more war.